Hey guys, what's going on? I am live. Let's see. I have. Sorry, it's always stressful going live. It's like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Then I always like to give it a few seconds to make sure it's not gonna like stop working. All right, looks like we're going. All right, man. So it's been a while. It's been like a minute, over a month, I think, since I've done a podcast. We did the Boreal Bigfoot Expo, and that was a great time. I was a little disappointed in the amount of people that showed up. The first one we did, we had like 300 people or something, and this one, I don't think it was quite that many. I think that we actually had fewer show up. Although I got really busy after the expo, and I wasn't able to like do like they had like a follow up meeting with the expo committee and all that. I wasn't able to attend because I was busy doing other things, so I didn't get like the official like count or whatever. But it definitely seemed to me like there were fewer people at this one than there were at the first one. Even though we had more prominent guests, Dr. Meldrum was there. It was cool hanging out with him. Although my favorite part of the expo was watching Rob Roy or Benzies interact with Dr. Meldrum. That was amazing. It was it was so entertaining. Just watching Rob Roy in general was pretty entertaining. Curtis says good evening. Good evening, Curtis. Curtis Rowe, not to be confused with Curtis Lowe, I guess. Um, yeah, the expo was great. It was nice actually getting up to Fairbanks where they were actually having some form of summer, because our summer here on the peninsula has like sucked really bad. It's been pretty pretty rainy. It's been cold. In fact, Alex and I were out a couple weeks ago, and we're like sitting around the fire in um, jackets and like long sleeve pants, and I looked at Alex and I'm like, this is July. We should be in like t-shirts right now. Like this is what I wear when I come out in like September to October. So not having a great summer, a really wet one. In fact, a couple of days ago we got so much rain. I was like, oh my god, the basement's gonna flood. I know it is. Like we're not gonna be able to handle this. But luckily, our foundation drain held out, and we didn't have any flooding going on. But I was so worried. I almost didn't even get any sleep because I was just like, oh god, it's gonna flood. I know it is. And we've got like these moisture sensors in the basement. So basically, if they get wet or they sense moisture, it'll send an alert to my phone. And I just kept expecting my like phone to go off with the moisture detector is like getting is underwater or something. Um, I mean, we got a ton of rain in the last few days. I think about 2 inches or so in 24 hours. But man, I'm glad to be back. I don't know what's going on. I was getting ready to go live here, and I'm like, where are my headphones? I couldn't find them. I'm like looking around my desk for my headphones. They were still packed because we did the live episode from the expo with Rob Roy and Alex. They were still packed in my little tote. And I'm looking in all my desk drawers for them, and I'm like, I know I've got headphones around here somewhere, and I hadn't even unpacked them yet. So that's yeah, I'm like still like getting into the groove of things. Like I was gone for like 3 weeks almost. We did the expo, had a good time with that. Right after the expo, Alex and I went out to Manly Hot Springs. Um, it was an area that I've always wanted to check out, and I thought Alex would appreciate it. It's a place where I've heard of a lot of activity, and I've had some reports come out of there. I had a roadside crossing report to me. I actually had the witness on the podcast. Oh, I don't know, a year or two ago. Um, sound like it's a good sighting, and we actually went to the location where that occurred. Again, the weather up there kind of got a little squirrely on us, and Yeah, it was raining. In fact, I don't even think. Yeah, there's Alex right there. uh, in fact, I don't even think I got any like video of the actual like sighting location because when we went out there, it was like starting to rain and like a lot, like heavy. And I was like, oh God, just terrible. And as you guys all know, I'm a fair weather squatcher. Like I don't like to get out and get too wet. A little rain's fine, but when it's like torrential, like downpours, I'm not in it. I'm not feeling it. Uh, I don't know. I think it goes back to my military days where, they always tell you like never get cold, wet, tired, or hungry. And I've just, I've done that enough. I don't need to do it anymore. But yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be finally getting like into the groove of things and back to normal and seeing my puppies and just hanging out with them. Although now that I'm back, it's like the dogs have all decided like we're gonna we're gonna all get sick now. Like we're gonna take turns like being sick. So Kara says you don't like to get wet and you live in Homer. It actually it doesn't. I mean, it rains a lot here, but not as much as like other places. Um, I went to Huna for like a week one time, and I thought it rained a lot in Homer until I went to Huna. It rained all the time. I don't just mean like a little bit every day. I mean, it rained 24 hours a day for like 6 days. And it finally stopped. I think maybe the day we left or something. Like it finally, like, it didn't clear up. It just stopped raining. But yeah, Southeast is on another level. Uh, I can handle Homer's rainy season. I can't handle Southeast's rainy season. That was insane. I'm surprised there's not like more people that don't like kill themselves there or like move away. That was terrible. It rained a lot. I mean, a lot. It's rained a lot here in the last few days, but it still didn't rain as much here as it did there. Um, it'll rain here for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll have like maybe a little break in the rain or something. Down there, it doesn't stop. It just rains. It does not stop. Um, yeah, it makes me wonder how anything. I mean, I know there's like a lot of bears and stuff in there, and it just makes me wonder how they survive when it just rains all the freaking time. Like they just must constantly be soaked, just constantly wet. Like they probably don't even know what it's like to be dry. Like they've never experienced like a dry coat of fur. But yeah, it was an interesting time. We went out to Manly. Um, it was a good. I think it was good for Alex to get Alex out to Manly because he's been a little spoiled. He's been a little spoiled. I'm not going to lie with the Kenai Peninsula and some of the other places he's been. And I got him up to Manly. I got him up in the interior, and he really experienced what real Alaska mosquitoes are like because I don't think he'd actually experienced them up to that point. And it was kind of funny because I didn't forget about it. I mean, I had a bug shirt. I have like a mosquito shirt, and I just keep it in my camping gear, and it's just always there. I don't really think about it, and I didn't really think because I mean I'm like, oh, he's been up here before. He knows the mosquitoes are bad, but I didn't realize. I guess they hadn't really spent that much time in the interior, and we got there, and the mosquitoes were like just awful. And they had between Alex and his brother, they had like one mosquito net. So it was pretty bad. I felt bad, but I just totally I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think to say, hey, you guys need to make sure you bring mosquito nets. Even with the nets, honestly, they were still bad. Um, I got a funny little video where we're walking to our tents. Alex and I put up, and I was like, because Alex had put his tent up and he left the door open, and as he's putting it up, just all these mosquitoes are getting in. Because I put my tent up with the door shut, and I made a funny video where I'm like, I put my tent up with the door closed, and you didn't. What happened? And I zoom in on his tent, and it's just full of mosquitoes. He says, at least they're dumb and slow and easy to kill. Yeah, but they overwhelm me with numbers. I mean, that's their strength is just, there's just so many of them, and you kill 5 and 10 more show up. It's like, what is that thing? Not the Hydra. chimera. What is it? The thing that you kill, you cut off a head and like two more grow back. That's what it's like. And it's just unrelenting. They don't stop. Uh, there was like one moment where I woke up kind of early and it was sunny and it wasn't raining, and then I guess it was warm enough where the sun was like keeping them away. And I sat down in the middle of camp and was like, "Oh, this is nice." And it was that lasted for like an hour, I think, or two, and then it was over. But yeah, it was crazy. So I don't think myself or Alex is going to be buying any property near Manly Hot Springs anytime soon. It was it was pretty bad. And it's been a while since I've been in the interior like that. So I kind of forgotten too. I mean, I knew the mosquitoes were bad, but I kind of forgot like how swarmy they were and just how like in your face they were. And at least I had my like bug suit that I could put on. But then like, we're trying to cook dinner and stuff, and they're like getting in the pan and stuff while we're cooking hamburgers. And I'm sure we probably ate at least a couple of them. It was our revenge. We ate them back, I guess. But yeah, it was pretty funny. I'm sure you guys will see it. Alex is going to put the video out. Um, I'd heard about that roadside crossing, and then I heard back. I guess it was back during the first expo. Stephen Major and Adam Davies had came, and they were talking to Uber driver or a taxi driver in Fairbanks, and they mentioned that they were here for the expo. And the cab driver was like, "Oh, well, if you guys are into Bigfoot, you need to check out like Minto Manly Hot Springs, because I'm from Minto and there's all kinds of hairy man stuff going on up there." And so I it's been on my list. It's been on my list of places I wanted to check out, and finally got it knocked off. If I go back that way anytime soon, probably gonna want to take like a travel trailer or something. I think I'm getting worn out. I'm getting a little too old and worn out to just sleep on the ground anymore in the tent. I think might be time for Beans to invest in a travel trailer. But yeah, we went and did Manly. I don't want to get too spoilery because I know Alex is going to put a lot of videos out about these places we went. So I'm not going to get too spoilery about stuff that we found or didn't find or saw or didn't see. I just want to kind of give you guys an update on what I've been up to. I've got some little videos I'm going to put out as well. Again, not super spoilery stuff. Just some stuff that I experienced while we were out there. Just like the funny little video with Alex in his tent and stuff. Rob Roy says, "Beans, I'll sell you my truck and camper is seen in small time." I think you mean small town monsters. Rob Roy, I would take you up on that, but I know you've been like, "Oh, don't get a sliding camper. They're a pain in the butt." So why do I want to buy your headache? I want a travel trailer so that I can like unhook it and go drive around if I want to. So we'll see. We're going back and forth on what we're going to do, if we're going to just buy one up here or if we're going to drive down south and buy one and drive it back. Because I'm assuming they're probably a little cheaper down there. Like I said, we're in the planning stages right now. We haven't really crunched any numbers or saw what we're going to get. We just want something kind of small, It's basically like a bed and a little kitchenette and a bathroom. That's my big thing. I want a bathroom. I want a place I can go to the bathroom. That's my big ask. I don't really care if it's got a shower or not. I just want a place to go to the bathroom. We got done with Manly, and the plan was I was kind of wanting to hang out with Alex after that, but then we had like an appliance emergency at home. Our dryer, which has been like limping along for months now, and I've actually replaced a couple of parts on it, finally just stopped working. And my wife was like, I bought us a new washer and dryer. They're in Anchorage. You've got to come through there. Can you please pick it up, bring it home? So I left Manly Hot Springs, drove down to Wasilla, spent the night there at a campground. Got up the next day, picked up the washer and dryer in Anchorage, and headed home. And that was an experience in itself. That thing was, we switched over to we went from electric dryer to gas dryer. And you guys know me, I can barely like change the oil in a car. And I've been trying to install this gas dryer, and I'm just thinking I'm gonna blow up the house. Like this is it, this is how I'm gonna go. And it actually it worked out pretty good. And knock on wood, the house hasn't exploded yet, and we've done a lot of laundry in it so far, so it works. Thank God for YouTube tutorials, I guess, because it was a little touch and go there for a minute. And I'm like, I do not want to have to pay somebody to come and install this thing right now, because in the summertime here where I live, it's almost impossible to get anybody to do anything. It's like, please take my money, just give me goods and services. And people are like, no, I'm busy. I'm going fishing. And we've had that happen a few times with stuff like, oh my God, our septic tank has an issue. Somebody please come fix it. And people are like, nah. We're like, we'll pay you. We have money. No. And that's happened more than once, believe it or not. I've never seen a place where it's been so hard for me to find people to take my money as living in Alaska. And it's one of the reasons why I say, if you're going to live up here, you have to have some level of like self-reliance and self-efficiency, because you're going to find yourself doing a lot of things that we'd probably outsource in other places. Like a lot of places where you just, oh, okay, something's wrong with the sink or the toilet or whatever, or my car. I'm just going to call somebody. They're going to come fix it. And that's not always the case here. So we got the washer dryer installed, and Alex and his brother went off and did some other stuff. And then we met back. We were going to meet back up and head out to the cabin. Well, so I wake up, I think it was a Sunday morning. We're going out to the cabin, to area A. And I remember, like, I was running back and forth. I was leaving the house and putting stuff in my truck and like packing stuff. And I took a little bit more stuff than I usually do. Like normally I kind of have like my normal kit, like, okay, this is what I'm taking. And this time there was some extra stuff that I was taking just because we were going to be out there for so long. And two, there was some like equipment and stuff that we wanted to try out. And so I was kind of like, okay, I got to make sure I bring this and I got to make sure I bring that. And I got the truck loaded up, headed out. And for me, from Homer to Seward, it's like a 3.5 hour drive. And I'm driving and I'm listening to podcasts and just chilling out, listening to music. And I get to Moose Pass, which is, I mean, I'm literally there. Like I've been driving for 3 hours. I'm like a half hour away from Seward. And I just have this like epiphany where I'm like, where did I put my glasses and contact lenses? And I couldn't remember like where I packed them. And so I was like, well, I'm going to pull over on the side of the road and just make sure. So I get out on the side of the road. I'm like digging through all my stuff and I can't find them. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I left them on the bathroom counter upstairs. And so I sat there for a second. I'm like, well, I mean, it's not going to do me any good to just go to the cabin because I have this one pair of contacts in and they're only like for day use. They're like 24 hours or so. You're not supposed to sleep in them. You're not supposed to, like take them out and put them back in. Plus I didn't have, which I guess I could have went to Safeway or something and bought like a contact case and some fluid. But again, I'm only supposed to run for 24 hours and I was going to be out there for like 2 weeks. So like how much could I push that envelope? Like how much wear and tear could I get out of them before they were just like, they just fell apart. So I'm just like, I have to go home and get my glasses. And as luck would have it, my wife her family was coming to visit. So she had left Homer even before I did to go pick them up in Anchorage. So it's not like I could call her and be like, hey, can you bring my contacts and glasses and like meet me halfway? I have to go all the way back home. And I got sick at my stomach. I was so pissed at myself because I don't usually forget stuff. Like I'm usually pretty squared away. Like if I forget something, it's usually pretty petty, but this was like super major important. Like I cannot see without my glasses. I can't drive. I'm not supposed to drive without my glasses or contact lenses. And I didn't bring them. And like, what's the point of me going to look for Bigfoot? I'm trying to find something. I got to look for it with my eyes. And what's the point of me going out there if I can't see? So I texted everybody and I was like, look, guys, I forgot. I forgot my contacts and glasses back home. I've got to turn around and go get them. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to make it. And then luckily, the cabin owner, Scott, was like, hey, we'll, just go get them. We'll come get you whenever. So I drove back home. So I drove 3 hours to Moose Pass, 3 hours back home to Homer, got my contacts, and then drove another three. So I drove 9 hours, drove another 3 hours, 3.5 hours back to Seward. And luckily, Scotty sent his friend John to come and pick me up. So I got out there that day like I was supposed to. But I was so pissed off. I was so, and myself. I mean, there was nobody to blame but me. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to like start like making a checklist or something of like essentials before I go out the door and stuff like that. Because I mean, I couldn't win. I mean, thank God I wasn't like catching a plane or something like that. And it was just luckily it was my buddy's boat. Then he could send somebody in the boat to come and get me. But that could have screwed a plan up real quick and permanently. And at one point, Scott's like, well, can't you just like go to like an optometrist in Seward and like buy some of your contacts? Like have your wife like email you your prescription? And I was like, that's a good idea, but it's Sunday and nobody is going to be open. And my wife's not home to do that anyway. So it was quite the frustrating moment. Luckily, Scotty's a good dude and sent somebody to pick me up in a boat, but that could have been pretty bad. And I was telling my wife about it, and she's like, "Well, maybe they can come get you on it," because somebody had to leave on, I think it was Wednesday or something like that, or Thursday, and they're like, "Well, maybe you can like go meet up with them then." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna have to do." But luckily, they were cool about it, and I still had to drive 9.5 hours to go back and get my glasses and contacts. I tell you what, I'll never forget them again, probably. I might forget other shit, but I'll never forget those. So we get out there, and this is like 2 weeks, man. We're like, okay, this is it. We're going to have 2 weeks of cabin time, of Area A time. And the first 2 days the weather was just amazing. In fact, I was worried at one point. I was sitting outside and I'm like, I'm going to get a sunburn. Like, I should probably go put on a long sleeves or something because the sun was just like beating down. It was beautiful weather. And there was pollen everywhere. Like, it was crazy. The pollen count this year must have been extreme. Like, you could look out on the water and just see this yellow sheen, almost like an oil slick of pollen. There's pollen flying through the air. Like, the wind would blow and you'd just see this big yellow cloud just fly around. It was crazy, the pollen count. And we get there and all this pollen's flying around, and Scott's like, huh, my allergies are really like driving me crazy. Like, normally I don't have allergies this bad, but all this pollen must be activating my allergies or something. And we were all like, yeah, that checks out. There's a lot of pollen. It's probably allergies. And spoiler alert, it wasn't allergies. So Scott had to leave to go back to work. And he wasn't feeling great when he left. He was, oh man, allergies. Oh, snorting and snotting, coughing. And so he left to go back to work. And then his buddy John, who's he was helping us out and taking care of us while we were out there. John started like feeling poorly and was like, I think I'm sick. I think I got what Scott got. And then it was just like dominoes. Just everybody started getting it. And I held out pretty good. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to like fight this thing off. Like, it's going to get me. Like, I could tell, like, I'm sick, but I'm not like sick. I don't feel great, but I got this. I can power through it. And I did a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have. Like, I mean, we're climbing up and down the hills there at Area A, and just I could tell I didn't feel good, but I wasn't like incapacitated sick. I think probably what it was, I just willed through it. I was just like, oh, I need to do this stuff. I'm out here. I might as well handle this, because I got home after the 2 weeks. I got home and I was like, this is the worst I've ever felt in my life. And we had these, everybody's sick. Like everybody out there that was out there was pretty much sick, except for like 2 people who didn't spend the entire time with us. And at one point somebody made a comment like, oh, I ate this and I didn't taste it, or, was this good? I couldn't taste anything. And that was kind of like, that was like, can't taste anything. I wonder if this is COVID. And so I got home and we had some of those, we had some like at home tests that we had picked up somewhere like way back in like 2020 when everything was like going on. I think one of our employees gave it to us. I don't even remember where we got them. And I was like, well, I'm just going to take this just to see, because I think the day that I drove home was probably the worst day that I was like, I feel really, really bad. So I took the test when I got home and it was positive, and I'm like, I freaking knew it. So leave it to Beans to go to like one of the most remote places in Alaska and freaking catch COVID-19. I mean, what are the odds? So it was crazy. I felt like crap, and I felt like crap several days. So even after I got better, I had the cough thing. If you guys remember the last time I caught it, like it wasn't that bad, but then I had this persistent cough afterwards where I was just like, I kept coughing, and I ended up having to go to the doctor and get something for the cough. And I still had some of that. They gave me like a steroid inhaler. So I ended up like hitting that a few times, and that cleared it up after a couple of days. But I still, like at one point, Alex and I were out and he was trying to interview me and I was coughing so much. I was like, I don't think any of that interview is going to be useful. So it was, it was crazy. And at one point, yeah, Rob Boy says, it was a conspiracy Scott and I were in on it. At one point, Rob was like, oh, maybe I can come out on this day. I'll have to shut the store down and the gallery down and come out on this day. And we were just like, don't come. You're going to die. That plus the weather. It rained a lot out there. There were a few nights that I didn't even go out because the weather was so shitty. Yeah, it's tough because you're like, man, why? You're out there, you might as well like enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm like, if I go out there and it's pissing and pouring, I'm not going to have fun. Like, even if something happened and I come in and I'm like soaking wet, I'm probably still not going to enjoy it. So it was a couple of nights where I just like, I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna hang out here. But we were out there for 2 weeks. We didn't get to do quite everything we wanted to, but we were out there for 2 weeks, which is, I think, the longest anybody's been out there. So you guys are gonna have to wait and see what Alex puts out to see what happened. I believe it's called Dark Coast Sasquatch. And when's that coming out, Alex? If you want to put that in the comments there, so we can promote it. But yeah, that was awesome 2 weeks when the weather cooperated, but otherwise it was really, really rainy. If I had known, like if I had thought that it was going to rain that much, I would have probably like went out and bought extra wet weather gear. Cause at one point, like my jacket was soaking wet, my rain gear was soaking wet. And like the my two main outfits that I was wearing were soaking wet. And I'm like, I'm putting on like spare clothing because everything is wet and it's not drying out. So Alex says the first episode is slated for mid-August. Just getting started on that now. So you guys keep an eye out for that. Dark Coast Sasquatch coming out from Small Town Monsters. It's going to document some of the goings-ons that we experienced out of Area A this summer. Our 2-week vacation, our 2-week swim cruise, I guess. But yeah, it was awesome. when it wasn't pouring rain. But yeah, we haven't had much of a summer. It's supposed to be getting nicer. In fact, we're supposed to be going like camping this weekend. Me, my wife, and the dogs. So I'm not going to do probably a ton of squatching, but probably run some audio or something and take the thermal. But yeah, it was crazy. 2 whole weeks out there and got sick. So that's why I did. If you guys saw, if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I did the. If you're familiar with the meme template of Bad Luck Brian, he's like the redheaded guy with braces, and it's like a school photo or something. And I don't know where it originated. I don't know like who came up with it, but it became synonymous with basically like bad luck. Like this guy's name is Bad Luck Brian, and it's kind of like whenever you have bad luck, you make a meme with him in it. Like you know, goes hunting and forgets his bullets or something like that. And I thought, man, that fits it to a T. The luck that we had where we went out there to this like super remote location, just a few people out there, and we ended up like passing that sickness around. But Alex says he's got lots of other Alaska related videos coming too, plenty of interviews from Beans. I don't know, man. That one, I don't know if you're going to be able to use it because I've coughed so much. Oh, it was terrible. And of course, I'm trying to like power through it like I'm. And I thought it's going to sound like I'm crying in some of those because I'm like, stop my cough. But I'm finally like back to normal. For those of you that are not watching and listening on this on the podcast, I'm using my quote fingers when I say normal. But yeah, I'm fine. You remember I mentioned earlier, like I was like, oh, my dogs are taking turns being sick. I'm like wondering if maybe they caught it too. Because one of them, I know this is TMI. You guys don't care about my dogs probably, but one of them was like throwing up the other day, and the other one had it coming out the other end. And now I'm wondering, like, could the dogs have got like that from me? I don't know. Because somebody the other day was talking about it. I was on Cliff and Boco's podcast. They were talking about, I guess Cliff had just recently had a bout of it as well. And I was talking about how he thought his dog got it too. So now I'm in the same boat. I'm like, well, I just had it, and now my dogs aren't acting right. Maybe they've got it too. But I think they're going to be okay. We took one of them to the vet yesterday, and they gave him some medicine, and he just seems like he's doing fine now. So we're gonna make sure they're good to go. But we're gonna try and take them camping this weekend. I think they'll be fine. And yeah. So what else is going on? I saw an article in the paper I wanted to talk about. It's Alaska related. There's a gentleman near Juneau that this was in all the major the news outlets, and I'll post a link to one of the articles in the podcast show notes. But there was a gentleman, I believe it was near Juneau. They said he recorded his own drowning on a GoPro. He was out kayaking, and he disappeared. He didn't come back. And then they found, I guess, his kayak on the shore, and they started like looking around, and they found like his helmet in the water, and it had like a GoPro mounted to it. And they said that he had recorded his own drowning. And now I'm going to preface this. I'm going to say I don't mean any disrespect to this guy at all. Like, I don't know this dude. I don't know anything about the dude. But as soon as I heard that, like as soon as I read that, I was like, they found his helmet, they found his kayak, but they haven't found him yet. I was like, that dude's still alive. He faked his own death. Because if you think about it, how easy would that be? If you're in a little boat or something and you're on the water and you got a GoPro, and then you just, you fall out of the boat or whatever, or drop the GoPro in the water, and then as long as it's not pointing towards you, you could get back to shore and then just disappear. But I just thought that was kind of weird how they found, because if the GoPro was attached to a helmet, how did the helmet come off for them to find it? And then his kayak, of course. So they found everything but him. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I guess that's the cop in me, though. I'm just like, that's suspicious. I mean, they'll probably, I don't know what body of water he was in. I think it was a lake. I don't think it was the ocean or anything. So they should be able to find the body, I would think. But yeah, that was kind of crazy. And it's also, it's also one of those things where, yeah, Karis, that's the cop in you thinking. Well, I thought kind of the same thing. The guy that disappeared during the Mount Marathon race, that older gentleman, I can't remember his name. I've talked about him on here before, but he disappeared, and they looked for him for like 48 hours or something. It seemed like a really short amount of time. And then like at the 72-hour mark or something like that, his family had like a celebration of life for him, and that was it. And I was like, man, that doesn't seem like it doesn't to me. It didn't seem like enough time had passed. And I remember talking to one of the gentlemen, one of the firefighters that I know, and he felt the same way. And he was like, yeah, he probably like left in somebody's trunk, and they're just getting some life insurance money or something out of it. But I don't know. It's probably horrible to say that kind of stuff, but I can't help but think that kind of stuff when things happen, and then there's just something about it that doesn't seem right. Like the guy with the kayak. They found his kayak. They found his helmet. How did the helmet come off? I mean, they said he recorded his own drowning. Maybe he absolutely did, and there's no question to it. But they're not going to release that footage to the public. So I mean, it's it makes you speculate. And again, the gentleman at Mount Marathon, he was only gone. He was only missing for like 24 hours, or no, I'm sorry, 48, 72, something like that. And they had like a celebration of life for him. I mean, I don't know. It just seems strange to me, but everybody's a little different, I guess. Everybody processes grief differently. Rob always says cocaine halibut got him. Yeah. The cartel dropped they were going to get boarded, so they dropped some bricks in the ocean, and the halibut are getting into it. There's some copywriting that. Don't steal it. It's mine. I have to write that story. But yeah, that was interesting. But it goes to show you too, like, you can't, Alaska's a harsh mistress, you have to respect her. You got to be careful. I don't know what that guy's plan was. I don't know if he told anybody when he left, like, hey, I'm going to be going to this place. I'll be gone X amount of time. I'll be back by this time. It's something I say when I talk about survival and safety. Be in charge of your own rescue. Let somebody know that you trust that you're going to be back at a certain time. Kara says people disappear in Alaska all the time. And it's true. Although it's not like the million or something. I was on a podcast one time. I'm not going to like name names, but I was on a podcast one time, and the guy starts out with like, so I hear 1 million people go missing in Alaska every year. I was like, no, not at all. And then he was like, well, yeah, there's a lot though, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, comparatively, yeah, I guess it is, but it's not 1 million. If it was 1 million, there wouldn't be anybody left in the state. But there'd be like 10,000 people like left in the state going like, where the hell did everybody go? But yeah, Alaska's a harsh mistress, and you got to respect her. And if you're not prepared, like, bad things can happen, and they can happen quick. Like, it doesn't take much. I mean, you guys, if you've seen Alex's on the trail, or what was it, the Alaskan coastal Sasquatch, they were going out kayaking. One of the kayaks tipped, and that only by the grace of luck did they get out of that, because did the one guy get out of it, because the boat just happened to come by and see that one of them had fallen out of the kayak, and they basically did a water rescue. And if that hadn't happened, I mean, who knows if the guy would have got to the shoreline. And if you had got to the shoreline, would he have got back to the cabin before hypothermia set in? I mean, who knows? So it doesn't take much. It just takes just one little teeny tiny miscalculation to ruin not just your day, but your life up here. You can be crossing a stream and slip on a wet rock, and that's it. I mean, you're going to get hypothermia and die. There's not much you can do about it. So you've really got to be careful up here. You've got to take all that kind of stuff into consideration. Yeah. Alex says, scary moment. We've actually, like, that beach. That's actually the beach where Rob Roy and I, there's a video about it here on my YouTube page. I think it's called Hidden Beach Area A. We've actually taken to calling that Ron's Beach because he was the guy that tipped his kayak, and we've kind of unofficially given it that name. And whenever somebody says, "Oh, it's over by Ron's Beach," you know exactly what they're talking about. But yeah, it was interesting seeing that in the news where the guy potentially recorded his own drowning. You know, GoPros, the batteries in them usually only last for like an hour or so. So it's I'm just curious what that footage contains. Not that I like really want to see it or anything, but it's interesting. And that's if you think about it, what's his name? The Grizzly Man, Timothy Treadwell. I guess he kind of recorded his own ending as well, only it was in audio, not video. Yeah, Ron's Beach. It's a nice place to visit, but you don't want to swim there. Rob, you've got to design, make some kind of design, like a beach, like a shirt, like a vacation shirt, you know, like you would buy in like Florida or something for Ron's Beach. But like make it funny, like we'll think of something. We'll think of some design. Like I came for the Sasquatch and all I got was hypothermia or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah. So as far as the rest of the summer goes, I don't really have anything planned. It does look like I will be at the next Monster Fest in Ohio. So you guys that are in the Midwest can probably come and hang out with me then. I believe that's next June. I've already got a table squared away there. So you guys can come hang out with me and at Monster Fest 2. I think that's what they're calling it. As far as I know, so far, that's probably my only conference next year. I think I'm probably only going to do like one conference a year from now on or something, unless something really cool comes by and I can do some like really cool squatching nearby. Oh, and there's Marshall from Selkirk Range Sasquatch. Good to see you. Yeah, and in fact, Marshall, I haven't drilled down any travel arrangements yet, but I'm thinking maybe after I leave Monster Fest, I might hang out for a week in your guys' neck of the woods. So we'll see. I'm thinking of doing like a week in Kentucky and a week in Washington. So that'll probably be my big to do next year. Rob says he's threatening to join me there. Dude, you couldn't handle Monster Fest. You couldn't handle it. No, you should totally do it, man. It would be great. And plus, I think I'm going to do this one solo, so I'm not going to have anybody to watch my table, so we can watch each other's tables. But yeah, that's kind of an update. As far as the rest of this year, I don't really have anything going on. I'm going to be doing a few like little solo camping trips here and there. There's an area that I'm going to go check out that I've never checked out before in August, and I'm going to spend a couple of nights at this new place and see what's going on there. I've got to do some research into it because I heard there was a sighting there, and I just like, okay, I'm going to go there, and I like scooped up a campsite there, but I haven't really like done a super deep dive into it. And I'm also thinking about doing something at that Devil's Creek Trail. I keep like threatening to do it. And I want to find out why they call it Devil's Creek Trail too. I don't know who would have that information, but yeah, it's a really cool area. There's been some roadside crossings near there. Michael Thompson from the Sasquatch Tracker had a roadside crossing reported to him. And then that witness has also been on the Bigfoot Society podcast and talked about his sighting there. And then I did a follow-up investigation to it on Michael's request. So wanting to get out there and do some stuff, maybe walk the trail a little bit and maybe do some camping out there. We'll see. But this new place I'm going to check out is not too far from there. So it's in the same general area. It's also not super far from the place I usually go anyway, where I actually took Alex after Area A. I went out and showed him my stomping grounds where I heard some vocalizations and found some tracks. And we walked around and had a good time out there. It was a lot less mosquito-y than Manly, but still kind of Muskegon. But then we had a lot of rain. The rain, I think Alex is the problem. I think they just follow out. The rain just followed Alex around when he was here because it rained at Manly, it rained at the cabin, and then it rained here. But you know what? It still rained after he left. So I guess he's not the key. I don't know what it is. I guess we're just having a rainy summer, which hopefully that means next summer is going to be super sunny. But I'm also going to be traveling next summer, so we'll see. But yeah, I want to get back out to Eastern Washington, check that out again. Will's been posting some cool videos on his Grassman 58, and he's got a new channel called Bigfoot Back to Basics. I just started checking it out, and Alex, I forgot Alex drove back because he drove up here. He said they ran into crazy forest fires in Canada on the drive back. Not fun. Yeah. Well, I heard somebody say, I think it was at the expo, I heard somebody make the comment like, when you live in Alaska or the Pacific Northwest, you basically have two choices for your summer, gloomy and rainy or forest fires, and you have to choose. Like, it's either going to be this one or this one. I don't think we've had a single forest fire up here yet. I think there was maybe a really small one that the forester responded to out East End Road, and they just like knocked it out like in a matter of minutes. Like it was just gone. It was just a brush fire or something that got out of control. But after we had the Swan Lake fire a few years ago, and I was telling Alex this while we were out in my area, the activity just really seemed like it just kind of dissipated, and it seemed like the bears had moved in. Although while we were out there this last time, I don't remember seeing. I don't think we saw. There was one point where I saw some bear sign in the middle of the road, but it's not like it was right after the fire. Because after the fire, when I went back in there, and I was driving down the road, and there was like bear poop in the road, like every like 300 or 400 yards, it seemed like. And I had a bear run across the road in front of me there. And normally that place before the fire was relatively bear free. I don't want to say bear free. I'm sure there were probably bears there. You just didn't see them as much. But after the fire, it just really seemed like the bear activity really ramped up, and the Squatch activity like really ramped down. So I don't know where they went. Maybe they were still there, or they went further back away from like the camps and stuff, from the human populated areas, or what. But yeah. Well, I will be hopefully in Washington sometime after the Monster Fest. I think it's toward the end of June. So around the beginning of July, Will and Marshall, I hope to see you guys, and we'll get out in the field a little bit. I'm going to have a few videos coming out from the last few weeks. I've got to sit down and edit some. Most of them are going to be just short little snippets and stuff that, some stuff. I've got a funny one coming out with me and Alex here pretty soon about putting the tent up. I thought it was kind of funny, and all the mosquitoes got in Alex's tent. But yeah, I'll have some other stuff out. And plus, I'm going to go out and do some solo stuff here in the next couple of months. And hopefully the weather cooperates so I can get out, man. I guess I might have to break down and camp in the rain, but I might melt. Sugar melts in the rain, and I'm so sweet. But anyway, guys, I'm going to call it good. I can't believe I got through this entire podcast and my dogs did not interrupt me. I took the little one out a while ago before I went live, and just like let him go crazy and just played with him. And he came in and he came downstairs with me into the studio, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. He laid down. He has not moved since we walked in here. He is breathing. So my strategy worked. I wore him out before I got on here, and he slept the entire time. So now he's probably going to like drive us crazy for the rest of the night. We are going to watch the new Justified. It come out yesterday, I think, on FX, and it's on Hulu today. We'll see. I'm a big fan of the first Justified, or the original like 6th season Justified that was on FX. It was great show, awesome show, and I'm a little apprehensive about this new one because I'm kind of sick of this trend where they take all these like characters from the past, and then they just make them as miserable as possible, and then they pass the torch on to like the new generation or whatever, and getting kind of tired of that kind of stuff going on. So hopefully they don't do that with Justified with Raylan, and they actually like concentrate on the story. And anyway, guys, I'm rambling, so I'm going to get off here. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate you. Keep your eyes peeled here. Going to have some videos coming out over the next couple of weeks, and going to be getting out in the field a little bit more, hopefully, now that the weather seems like it's cooperating a little bit. And we'll get some videos out for you. Some Alaska scenery. I know you guys enjoy seeing that, and some Alaska squatching. And I will be back to update you guys here pretty soon. Thanks for listening. And I want to say keep it squatchy. I need to come up with a sign off. I don't know. Just for right now, we'll say be safe out there. All right. Good night, guys.